Many games in today's market will come out, get their year or two in the spotlight, and then fade away from existence while the next big game captures all the spotlight. It's a sad thing to see happen, but that's just the cycle of things. However, some games rise above it all and are still talked about to this day. And today will be a game that is still relevant almost 15 years later after its release. What's up, Dankers? Welcome back to another edition of Zombie Games Are Cool. Today we're going to be discussing my favorite zombie game of all time. This is the one I've spent the most time on of any zombie game I've ever played, and it's the one I am the most excited to talk about. The last 3 episodes of this show have been Capcom related, and I did not intend for that to happen. So today we're going to spice it up with some variety. So today on Zombie Games Are Cool, we're going to be discussing Left 4 Dead 2, an all-time classic. Some might be wondering why I'm not discussing the first Left 4 Dead game, and that's because I just think Left 4 Dead 2 is just a much better game overall. I do love the first Left 4 Dead game. I played it constantly growing up when it was the only one, but Left 4 Dead 2 is here, and that's what we're going to be discussing today. Also, it helps that they incorporated the entirety of Left 4 Dead 1 into Left 4 Dead 2 through DLC, so there is that. Just no point to go back to the first Left 4 Dead game unless you want to play with the physics. So on November 17th, 2009, Left 4 Dead 2 would hit Xbox 360 and PC. And in this video, I will be discussing the Xbox 360 version the most because it's the version I grew up with, it's the version I played the most. However, I do own the PC version, as you can see here, and I did play this, so later on in the video, we will discuss the PC version as well. During my middle school days, there was nothing I played more than Left 4 Dead 2. Every day I come home from school, I just immediately run to my room or to the living room and boot up Left 4 Dead 2. It didn't matter what account I was on, whose account I was on, I just wanted to play Left 4 Dead 2. This game felt so magical, and there was this flow to it all that just felt so good that as long as I was playing it, I was fine. And when I think about that fact that this would be the game that I would constantly play, this game doesn't really have a lot of content in it. You know, there was like 5 campaigns. I didn't really invest into the DLC. I was a broke kid. So I would play these 5 campaigns over and over and over again, just getting the most out of it. And I love that it was just so easy to pick up and play. The objective of the game is pretty simple. You play as 4 survivors who must work together to fight off the infected while trying to survive till the end. Now that sounds pretty straightforward, but that's because it is. But Left 4 Dead is a special case because in my opinion, it's more about the journey than the destination. Meaning it's a lot more satisfying to play the game than to complete it. You have 4 characters you can pick from, and the survivors in Left 4 Dead 2 are Ellis, Nick, Rochelle, and Coach. Ellis being my personal favorite. If we were just going off base Left 4 Dead 2 here, the Left 4 Dead 2 story, we have Dead Center, Dark Carnival, Swamp Fever, Hard Rain, and The Parrot. However, if you bought the DLC, the passing, you also get that level as well. And a really cool instance of this fan-made level called Cold Stream that happens to be non-canon to the story, but it was just so cool that Valve made a fan level official. However, if you wanted any of these campaigns, unfortunately you can't. For some reason, Left 4 Dead 2 is not listed on the Microsoft Store for any reason. So it turns out that us Xbox players have to miss out on the DLC now. Lucky enough for me, I was able to nab the passing and the sacrifice when I did, but damn, I really wish I was able to nab Cold Stream still. Each campaign is broken up into segments varying around 3 to 5 chapters per campaign, depending on which one you picked, of course. Campaigns are a lot of fun here and flow into each other pretty nicely. For example, in Dead Center, you start off on a roof of a burning building, then have to fight your way through it till you make it down to the lobby, then out to the streets. From there, making your way into town, finding a gun store, loading up, then going to a mall, which happens to be the final part of the level. And after completing it, it would then connect right into the next campaign. And they're all like this. It's very basic, but very effective. It makes this whole world feel connected and real, and I love it when video games do this. The zombies in this game look amazing and horrifying, as they should. They're actually split up into 2 categories here. Well, 3, and I'll explain that. You have the common infected, which are just your normal zombies that you'll see lying around the streets or in the hotels or, you know, wherever they'll be in the map. These are pretty much what you'll fight 85% of the time. Then you have the uncommon infected. Now these will be infected that are dressed differently than the commons. You'll see them, you'll know what I mean. There'll be like a construction hat zombie, there'll be a clown zombie, there'll be a mudman zombie. Like, these are the uncommon infected. They're a little bit stronger than the common infected, but not by much. They can be taken out with a melee weapon super easily. Then we have the special infected, our 3rd branch of zombies, which is the hunter, the boomer, the boomette, the smoker, the tank, the witch, Witch, the Charger, and Spitter, and Jockey. These are the infected that have powers added to them, you know, like the Smoker will strangle you with his tongue, or the Tank with his big muscles will knock you the fuck out of the way, you know. All these are special infected, and they all look amazing. The Hunter being my personal favorite. I always loved how he looked. I always loved the duct tape wrapped around his arms in the first one. In the second game, I know he has his shit ripped up, but that's because he's in Georgia. Like, that shit's hot over there. He needs to cool down, you know? Now, the story of Left 4 Dead is not really presented to you. Sure, we have the opening cinematic that plays in the beginning, so we kind of get an idea and a feel of what the game and story will be like, but we really don't get an actual story. There'll be tons of times where the survivors will talk to each other through the campaign where we can kind of piece together what's going on here.
Nick, what the hell? You shot the pilot. Well, he wasn't doing a very good job once he became a zombie, now was he?
That's true. If I had to pick a low point in the flight, it was probably when he stopped flying the chopper and attacked us.
But a lot of the major details are actually in the background of the campaign. You know, maybe you'll find a map in the building of the hotel where you can see just how bad the infection has spread. Also, in every single safe house, there'll be writings on the wall giving you background story of how the world turned to shit and how other people in this world dealt with it. They definitely want you to piece it together instead of being outright told, and without using any extra sources, this is how you have to do it. And I guess I would recommend doing it because with the context clues of what like the green flu virus is or how the survivors stay immune, it's all very interesting, and I definitely do recommend looking it up. Fun stuff all around. And speaking of fun stuff, I think we should probably get to this gameplay, huh? Now, being a first-person shooter, you could probably guess how Left 4 Dead 2 would play, but it actually controls a little bit differently than you might expect it to, so just go into that knowing this is not your average first-person shooter. The shooting does feel really good here, and every gun has a specific sound to it that makes it stick out from the rest. You can hold a primary, which will be your normal gun, and a secondary, which can change from a pistol or a melee weapon. All the primary guns are satisfying to use. Some do feel like slight clones, like the chrome shotgun versus the pump shotgun. Like, I don't understand why we needed 2 pump shotguns in this game, but if guns aren't your style, well, then Left 4 Dead 2 does introduce melee weapons to the formula. And we have quite a bit here. Fire axes, crowbars, baseball bat, katanas, frying pans, just to name a few. And using every single melee weapon is a blast to use. Each of them have their own specific sound to it, like the frying pan's tong when you hit a zombie in the face, or the katana swipes that you can hear when you slice down zombies. A great addition and all fun to play with if you're running out of ammo as well. These are great to fall back on. And I can see how the pistol might get a little repetitive, so by bashing a head in with a melee weapon, I can never see that happening. Besides gun, you also have this shove attack, which is really great for when you want to get zombies off you. However, it does have a cooldown, which wasn't an issue in the first Left 4 Dead game, but I imagine it was kind of broken then, so they had to do what they had to do. We also have some throwable items just lying around. We have Molotovs where you can throw and then it will burn a group of zombies, or you can throw it at the ground and create a little firewall for yourself, you know, guarding that front. Then we have pipe bombs. When you throw them, a loud pitch beeping will come out of them, and it will start to act like an attractant for the zombies. And after a lot are together, boom, blows them straight to hell. And for our final throwing item, we have the Boomer Bile, which acts like a lesser pipe bomb. However, the effect is when you throw it on the ground, it acts like a boomer threw up, so the zombies are more attracted to it, and it does last longer than a pipe bomb. When throwing one of these at a special infected, the zombies will actually attack the special infected, and it's really cool to see, and helpful at times. Ammo types show up here in the terms of fire and explosive ammo boxes that you can find lying around, and they work exactly how you think they would. Load up and burn them bitches, or have a ball exploding them to pieces. That pretty much covers all the gameplay that Left 4 Dead 2 has to offer. It's not a really crazy in-depth system, but it's one of those games where it's easy to pick up but hard to master. And the system didn't need to be too crazy. The beauty of Left 4 Dead's multiplayer is that anyone can just pick it up and play. And thanks to the director in the game, which will be tailor-made for you, depending on how good you do in this game, the invisible character called the director will determine how hard the game will be for you. So if you're doing poorly, the zombies will ease up and the special infected will ease up on you, and you might see a lot more items skewed around the property. However, if you do really well, like a Dankster over here, then the director will punish you for that and make the game extremely harder for you. No, like seriously, do you see this shit? As soon as I started the hard rain campaign, a tank spawns in. A tank! It's the first part! It's a really nice system, and the director gets talked about a lot when it comes to Left 4 Dead, and it's well deserved. It's a blast to play through, and another thing that makes Left 4 Dead 2 fun is the teamwork that this game requires you to have. And in my personal opinion, I think the best way to play Left 4 Dead 2 is just hopping online with a bunch of strangers and start playing with them. They're strangers, kind of like how the survivors in the games are all strangers to themselves. It just adds a bit more immersion to it, and I think that's really cool. I have to say, I think Left 4 Dead 2 does put the horror in horror game, and especially when it comes to the music, and oh my god, okay, we're just gonna talk about the music of Left 4 Dead for a second here. The music in Left 4 Dead is so perfectly executed that it can itself make you feel fear. The music is literally just perfect here. Every piece of music they made fits its setting super well. And the funny thing is that Left 4 Dead 2 kind of does like a Mario World thing, where they take like one song, remix it to hell and back, and add it into every single level of the game. The way they do this is super neat. So like a level where it's like Dead Center, where it's outside, it's in the city, the theme will just be like a normal piece. However, when you make it to the swamps, then all the banjos and all those kind of instruments start getting mixed in with the music. Or when we go to the Paris and the music starts to get a bit more jazzy. Left 4 Dead is chock full of music like this, and it's really unique on how they did every piece. Not only do they do well on the music, but the music cues that are introduced in this game that allow you to know what special effect is coming for you. When you hear these music cues that I just played, it's definitely a smart thing to just learn them all so you know which special effect it is. I played this game so fucking much that I just know what each cue is, and I'm just like, oh, that's a jockey, oh, that's a spitter, like I just know what it is. So it might be best for you to learn what that stuff would be too. It just helps out a bit. Or if you don't want to, you can just turn on full captions. I don't blame you. However, Left 4 Dead 2 does have some original songs that you would add on the traditional soundtrack, you know. Jonathan Coulton's Re Your Brains happens to be a personal favorite of mine. I love that song. But also the songs that play at the Midnight Riders concert is literally banger. I will just go out of my way and listen to Midnight Ride because that song is amazing. It's a Midnight Ride! Growing up, I really didn't have Xbox Live, so a lot of my Left 4 Dead 2 time was actually spent on the single player mode. I have completely clean sweeped this game on single player mode, and that's all I was left to. I managed to put so many hours into single player. Games just felt so much more massive to me back then, and when I see games that you can get out of bounds and you see all these extra areas, it just really incorporated that feeling, and I always felt like that with Left 4 Dead 2. So when I did get Xbox Live, you can imagine that my whole small little world just opened up, and I was able to play with the entire world on my favorite game. Finally, I can finally play with people who are just as enthusiastic about this game as me. During my middle school days, I met some of the closest friends I had then, and while we all may have separated now and we all spread our wings and went our own different directions, I will never forget those moments of playing Left 4 Dead 2 back in those days, back during 2011 to 2013, the peak of when I was into this game. And there wasn't just a campaign to play. Sure, you could play the campaign online, and that was a lot of fun. I did that a lot of times. But there was a multiplayer, a genuine multiplayer mode, like Versus, where it would be 8 players, 4 versus 4, where the survivors would try to make it to the safe room while 4 other people played as the special infected and tried to stop them. There was realism mode, where it was like a real-life zombie apocalypse, and the zombies did way more damage to you, and you would die as soon as you went down. It was just one life, that was it. Then there was scavenger mode, where you try to get as many gas tanks into a generator as you could before the other enemy team destroyed you, and then you would swap and do it again. And while all of these were great, a little bit later, the game would update and giving us a brand new mode called Mutation. And Mutation was fun. They had like a lot of special different modes that you could play, like the 4 swordsmen, where all 4 of you would only have a katana, and that's just what you would try to make it through the entire campaign with just a katana. There's my personal favorite called The Last Man on Earth, where it would take away all the common infected and just leave special infected and only you as a survivor. So the levels were kind of easy. And fun fact, if you guys want to get that expert achievement, I would highly recommend doing it on The Last Man Stand, since considering the Xbox achievements go through no matter how you beat it, you just gotta beat the campaign. And let me tell you, that also makes that bridge achievement on the parish a lot easier. Little life tip for you. If online wasn't your style, you could always fall back to the split screen multiplayer, so you and a friend, or a brother and a girlfriend in my case, can play together side by side. Growing up, my brother and I would play this to death, so much so that he just didn't want to play anymore, and I would continue going. But split screen is a fantastic option, and always will remain a fantastic option as long as video games include it. And with a game like Left 4 Dead 2, split screen just fits so perfectly. You and a buddy taking on the entire zombie apocalypse together is a lot of fun and can lead to a lot of good times and memories. There is so much content that Left 4 Dead 2 has to offer. There is so much here that you wouldn't be bored for a while, but if you still thought that that was not enough and you still want more from this game and you wish it did more, well, that's where the PC version comes in, my friend. So first of all, just right off the bat, I want to point out that if you bought the PC version like I did, I went into a store, I actually found this there and I bought it. It came with both the Passing and the Sacrifice DLC for free. And I remember being extremely jealous about that because I had to pay for it on the Xbox 360, and then my Coldstream one just immediately got fucking corrupted, so I don't have that anymore. So you would just get it on the disc, ready to go. So that's another bonus for getting the PC version. But if you wanted anything that your mind could think of, then you need to be introduced to the Steam Workshop. The Left 4 Dead 2 modding scene has been an established thing for at least 10 years to my knowledge. There have been countless and countless of mods to have come out for this game. New campaigns, new characters, new weapons, new animations, new cameras, anything you can think of to add to a game, this had it. New HUDs, new UI, everything. And arguably, you can say Left 4 Dead 2 might be one of the most modded games of all time, with over like 30,000 mods in its workshop. I did a video a little while ago where I did one of these mods where me and my brother hopped on and we played the Granny mod, while also being Meliodas and Bond from the 7 Deadly Sins. Stuff like that is only scratching the surface, and there are so many more mods on there that you personally should explore if you have a PC that can run it. Which, in this day and age, you definitely should be having it. Left 4 Dead 2 is not that complicated of a game. And not only that, but Valve themselves have stepped in and have continuously updated this game. The last time this game got an update was in 2019, to be fair, but with that update came a whole new campaign. While nothing spectacular, we still got a campaign off the survival map of Left 4 Dead 1, The Last Stand, where they actually turned it into a 2-chapter campaign, which it was okay, but still just really neat that they did something like that. Still, 10 years after the release, released a brand new campaign, even if it was 2 chapters. I love Left 4 Dead 2, and I'll say it again because I want it on record. This is my favorite zombie game of all time. I was so infatuated with this game. I just wanted nothing but Left 4 Dead 2 stuff. I remember seeing all of these fan-made things, like all these internet cartoons that would be on YouTube, like Left 4 Speed by Oni, or all the Left 4 Dead shorts that would be on there by the other animators. I was obsessed with this stuff. I used to draw my own comics and pictures of Left 4 Dead 2 stuff, and if I can find those, I'm going to add them right here in the video so you can see them. I just really immersed myself into this game, and that's why it's my favorite zombie game of all time. I was so obsessed with it. I don't know why I did this, I just did, but I printed out this picture of Ellis when I was in middle school, and my goal was to print out all 4 of them because I wanted a picture of all 4 of them, but I only made it to Ellis because he was my, favorite. I think I got in trouble for using too much ink because look at that. That's a lot of ink right there. But I still have this in my case. In fact, I thought I gave this copy of Left 4 Dead 2 away to a friend because I ended up with 3 copies somehow, and I wanted him to have a copy so we could play online sometime. And I thought I gave him this copy that just had this piece of paper in it, and that was enough reason for me to run out and try to go find this copy because this is my childhood copy of Left 4 Dead 2. I want to keep it, and it's just kind of sentimental to me, Now on Steam, I think I roughly have like 70 to 80 hours on this game, but if my Xbox 360 profile could tell you how much time I had on this game and how much I spent on it, I know it would blow my Steam record out of the water. I don't even think 80 hours is like justifiable for me, but I'm just not like that big of a PC gamer, so I really just focus on the Xbox 360 version. I can't believe Left 4 Dead 2 is about to turn 15 years old. I think it's like 13 or 14 right now, which is crazy. This is one of my childhood games, and to see it still active to this day, to see the player count still above 10,000 players monthly, is wild to me. How many other games can say that? I don't know many 2009 games that have an active player base like Left 4 Dead 2. That's all I'm saying. Well, Danksters, that is going to do it for me today. Left 4 Dead 2 is an amazing zombie game, and one I recommend you play. If not, you probably already are because it's an iconic game of our generation. Thank you guys so much for watching another episode of Zombie Games Are Cool. I'm trying to get more of these out there. The next zombie game I'm doing is already all filmed. I have all the footage ready to go. I just need to write the script and, start filming it. But we're going to get to that, and that's going to come out probably next year sometime. Give me a good start in January. Can I get you to hit that subscribe button and the bell for post notifications because I wouldn't want you to miss a single upload of mine, and it would take like 2 seconds, and it'll be much appreciated. And hey, if you're looking for a community to talk to, or if you want to speak to me more directly, I do have a Discord, and I opened that up about 2 months ago, and the link to that will be in the description down below. Come on, stop by. And also for those extra daredevils out there, I do have a Patreon, and that link will also be down in the description down below. You can go donate. Anything you do donate will go directly back into this channel. And again, as I've said multiple times, it'll be much appreciated. Thank you guys so much for watching. Just remember, Danksters, you're not going to get this kind of content anywhere else, and you want to know why? Because that's the Dankers difference.